Welcome to the Behavior Code, everyone. This is a very exciting episode. It's very difficult to get this man on video streaming, but I did it successfully, finally, after 8 weeks of attempts, 9 weeks of attempts. And very handsome man, very intelligent, very well dressed from Idaho. He comes to us. His name is Jordan Sussi, commonly mispronounced Jordan Sussi, but it's Jordan Sussi. And he's a messenger. He's a graduate of the Messengers program. He summoned up to 25K. He came live to San Jose. He also did online versions of the Messengers. He actually did the last Tabiat program, which was the program before the Messengers. And if this is your first time catching this is a show that interviews graduates of the Tabiat and Messengers program, which is the most prestigious communication and relationships program on planet Earth, with the #1 player and communicator on planet Earth. A communicator that's going to be tough, because he would say maybe Donald Trump. He would say something. But anyway, his name is Arash Dibazar. He's the man with 5 beautiful, loyal girlfriends and a mentor to many, many men, and myself included. So you know me, Yogi Chris, PhD, the host of this show, and I have with me Jordan Sussi from Boise, Idaho. He's coming to us. What's going on with you today, brother?
Hey, Chris. I want to say thank you. It's an honor to be on here. Thank you very much.
You're welcome very much, for sure. So let's get right into it. What would you quickly give people an idea? I interview the most prestigious people in the IMC Nation, which is a multi-thousand global community of people who study imagination and communication and the methods of Arash Dibazar. And you are among the elite, the top dozen. And because of because of that position, would you briefly recap for us, your entrance into IMC Nation? How did it come to pass? Quick summary, key moments. People would love to know the backstory of where did Jordan come from before he met AZD, so to speak, and then up to now.
Okay. Before I had met Arash in person, I was working as a logger, cutting trees down, and let's see, it was probably 3 years ago. I started listening to Arash's free videos. I got onto his Diamond Mine program, and everything that Arash was saying, it would, like, the truth, the truth cuts through everything. And so I would hear it and be like, oh my God, this guy, he knows what he's talking about. He knows where he's going.
Yeah. And
I never listened to or heard somebody speak the way Arash spoke. And well, so I've been married for 10 years, been with a wife. We got little kids, and I would have done things different had I known what I know now, but at the time it's perfect timing. So
yeah,
I knew that I wanted to. What am I trying to say? Let me back up a little bit. I'm
sure.
losing myself in my words.
Huh.
Since Arash, I guess my life I've expanded in every way. I stopped working for that logging company. I'd worked my way up to their highest paid position.
Wow.
And I was there for, the next 3 years. And I was like, okay, this is capped out here. I want much more. I can't grow anymore here unless I take over the company, which is owned by my wife's dad at the time.
Yeah.
Who still owns it. I was like, okay, well, I set the record for the company that was started in 1947.
Wow.
I broke my own record for 3 years. I was like, okay, it's me competing with myself. I wanted a bigger arena.
Yeah.
And Arash kind of helped me step into getting a larger arena. So working for myself, in 2 months, this is kind of, this is from Diamond Mine, where really I got the ideas that I was operating on from Arash. In 2 months, I'd earned, just on the side, working for myself, what I would cutting trees for a full season.
Yeah.
In 2 months, I was like, okay, so what could I do next?
Yeah.
And it was last spring, I decided to quit logging, and I'd gotten, okay, I live in McCall, Idaho, and it snows a lot in McCall.
Yeah.
And last year was one of the record years of snow.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, how could I profit from this,
Of course.
In high school, I remember I had shoveled roofs and I made like $1,000 in 2 days, and like that was a lot of money for a high school kid.
Yeah.
Like, okay, maybe I could do that. I did. I went around to all the realtor offices and the property management offices. I said, hey, I'm removing snow. I've got some guys who will do the work.
Yeah.
The first 3 roasts I was up there, doing the work by myself. And I was like, okay, I got to scale. I can earn decent money doing this like this, but how could I do it better?
Yeah.
And with Arash, it's always pushing me to do better.
Yeah.
So I had that in my mind. And the next 2 weeks, I had 48 guys working for me. And my goal was to create the largest workforce of removing snow off of roofs. I mean, McCall's a small town. There's 3,200 people who live there year round. Most of the houses are like second home, vacation home style living. So I did that, and that was last year. And last year I'd earned more money than I've ever earned in my life, and it was like $245,000, which was a lot for me, because I grew up poor. Been working since I was 12 years old, and after doing that, I was like, okay, I'm not moving backwards. I'm gonna keep moving forward. And at the time when the Tabiat was coming out, and it was like the 25,000, and that was gonna be a lot.
Yeah.
So I was like, I had to figure out a way how to make that happen because I knew I had to be there.
Wow.
Whatever it was, I had to push past. So, and it was really interesting. I had a dream. I had a dream, and Arash was in it, and we were. I remember waking up from this dream, being like, "What the hell?" That's not how I thought our first interaction would go. But it was. We were in our underwear, and I was looking at him through a mirror.
Okay.
And this was 2 weeks before I knew I was going to the messengers.
Wow.
And as we're there in the yoga class, I was like, "Oh my God, this was my dream right here."
Yeah, that's
because I'd never been to yoga. Yeah, I'd never done anything like that. And I just remember it hitting me. I was like, "There's something much deeper going on here that I've got to be part of," because it's like, I don't know, that calling on my heart, whatever it is, it's here, learning whatever Arash has to teach us. So
yeah, I'm very.
I don't know if I answered your question or not.
That's very, very similar how you said that last thing. It's like, that's one of the things is like, no matter what, like I got to get this thing. Why? Because I want to. Why do you want to? That's what I was in Silent Flute. I was like, all these lame people that like they're governed by their emotions and they're always saying, I don't want to. Why are you not doing that? Because I don't want to. It's like, it's not a reason. But anyway, I want to, there's like a calling or something. And actually, I want to get into that. I want to unpack what you said. You said one of the things that stood out, excuse me, was you said, I knew I just had to be there.
Yeah.
To the Tabiat program. So what do you mean? How did you know that, or what is that experience?
How do you know that? Well, how do I explain that? I've always been guided by whatever my purpose or my path is, and it's always had the overriding effect on my decision making. No matter how uncomfortable it is at the moment, I'll have to push past whatever it is, because I know whenever I don't listen to that, it's like that voice inside, that I get punished, and I've disregarded it long enough that I wasn't going to be punished for whatever it was. But it's always for a higher purpose. So I knew I had to listen to that.
It's pretty amazing.
You know what I'm saying?
You're saying, it sounds like basically you're saying that 2 weeks before you arrived, you had a vision of what it would look like, and it came true. And the reason why you were arriving was because a voice in your head basically said that you should, and you trusted it.
More or less. But if I move backwards in that, the things I was learning from Arash, I was applying in my own relationship with my wife, because I had messed up a relationship really bad in high school. And I wanted to know what was it that I was doing wrong, because I'd watched my mom get married multiple times.
Yeah.
And just all these failing relationships around me. And I'm like, there's got to be some kind of order to this thing. And I was always apply what I was learning from Arash into my own relationship, and I would see the results. I was like, okay, this guy actually knows what's going on here.
He does. He does. It's not just a
So,
show.
oh, not at all. No.
So it's application. See, people, they don't have relationships, or they're not talking on that level. Like, I mean, I don't have my girlfriend anymore, but I have deep connections with women that I'm not so quick to just put them into a status of relationship. Like, you know, and I'm in communication a lot, and even talking with the ex. So there was so many. It's hard to say, really. I was in a completely different reality, like a completely different matrix of understandings, like totally different paradigms about men and women relationships. And piece by piece, I needed to refile my information, reorganize, like defragment my mind or something, or scan disk or whatever my mind. Cause I just had it was, and I didn't know how far off the target I was. I had no idea. I just knew that piece by piece I was learning information, and I kept feeling so enlightened after every product, after every lecture. I was like, this is it. And I would always get so pissed that it was like, there was always like the day after he'd announced the next product, like, and you have to have this. And I'm like, but I just got this one. And it's like, it kept getting new. It just kept getting new. And it was all just like you said, like, you know, when you apply the ideas, a lot of times they work. Sometimes they didn't, but I was wise enough to realize that it was how I was doing it. It wasn't like what, because it made so much sense to me when I was just studying it. It's just, you know, so anyway, it just keeps getting deeper. It's a rabbit hole. And I knew, culminating with Tabiat originally for me, $25,000, I knew it was going to be well worth much more than that, an investment. Where was my college taking me? 140 grand to get a PhD, a master's degree, and a bachelor's degree in engineering, all three of them. And what was that investment? And then what's this investment? And my heart was more into this than my heart was into anything ever before, except when I wanted to be a state champion wrestler. And I was an undefeated state champion wrestler. And it was really cool because Arash was also part of a jiu-jitsu and martial arts lineage. And I had never thought of wrestling so much as a martial art until starting to study Arash and his mindset and things like that. I saw where there was both the martial art in the wrestling, but there was also like the Western sport mindset in the wrestling. So there was like, and so I saw how I was. And I think that's a very powerful statement. I saw how I was. I saw, you know, and that thanks to the teachings of Arash Dibazar, and it's part of a lineage, you know. So, what about anything that I've said would you pick up like as a thread in a communication? Because I know that you have wisdom on things that I've just said.
Yeah. So just that statement that you pulled out, I saw how it was. Every messenger's event, every product, you see how you were and what you want to be, and you bridge that gap closer, or you get rid of that gap, so you come more. It's like you're shedding your skin, you know, like a snake. Every time you're shedding more skin, and it becomes more powerful. Your communication, my view, how I view things I thought I was getting a grasp on. Now I have a different perspective of it. I'm like, oh, okay, so that's really what's going on here. I think Desi had a question. I don't know if you take questions during this or after.
Yeah, DC has a question. There's another comment over here. Jordan, do you speak other languages?
Not. I would say no. I speak a little Spanish. Portuguese was my first language. When we moved back to the U.S., my mom never spoke it, and I didn't care to keep learning it, so I don't. Just English mostly.
Okay. DC, does what you learn from messengers, I love how persistent he is. He asked it twice. Does what you learn from messengers help me with women, even if... Oh, there's two questions here. That's what it is. Okay, so DC's in Albania, and he says, and he does know English well. He speaks well, fluently well. But does messengers help with my own native language? Possibly. I don't know anything about Albanian, really. And I think that there would be a translation, that there are teachings and awarenesses and many of the
Yeah.
things, I don't know how to say it exactly, but many of the teachings will directly translate. In fact, for certain, there are certain important teachings that will definitely translate because they're understandings. And then there are others that are language oriented that some will transfer, some they'll probably all I can't say, but that's all. That's what I can say. And then what would you say about that?
Yeah, I'd say definitely, because it's yes, he uses his words, but it's all a deeper understanding of everything. So if DC can understand English,
yeah,
I bet he would get a lot of it.
Yeah,
and I'm sure Arash would tune it to be perfectly tailored to DC.
Totally.
If you were to come, because that's what he does.
Yeah, there are many things that are global perspective teachings that maybe will be culturally slightly different for you where you are. And then DC's second question, does what you learn from messengers help me with women, even though you don't have much knowledge of game or pickup skills? And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. There you have it.
Do you mind if I say something?
Hey, I wasn't gonna have such a good response like yours. I mean, but yeah, I was gonna say they're just totally different. That messengers is a deeper layer. That's like, let's say knowledge of game and pickup skills. Before that, you need to know how to talk and communicate. And because if you're trying to learn game or pickup without being able to communicate, it's like trying to learn how to run before you can walk. Trying to win the race before you can even balance. So that's what I'd say to that. Dilrado Pierce says, I've realized if attraction had to do with your words, you wouldn't be able to get laid in other languages, countries. Right. So that it doesn't, because if I was a rock star and I went to a country where I don't speak English, I'll bet I could get laid if I was really a star. If I was a movie star, I don't need to be speaking the local language. Right?
Yeah.
No, yeah. So, okay. So the next Messengers is coming up the final weekend in February. We may be having somebody come live. There's definitely going to be an extension online version. And I don't know yet what the topic will be like as a theme. Like, Keys to the Matrix was certain word magic that opened up your mind about so much. It's hard to really synthesize. Just shifted things. And then Philosopher's Stone was, I really apply that a lot. And how I apply it, it was to me, what it was literally was a progression of philosophies from different schools of philosophy that leads to a certain archetype and a mentality about basically how to handle your frustrations, emotions, relationships, and very powerful. I don't know if I did it justice with my words. And Abracadabra, I still need to restudy those lectures because right now let's talk about it. Let's talk about the last event. What is the last event to you, the Abracadabra?
What was it to me? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like what was, I know what Abracadabra means, which is like create what you speak. But you came live to the event, you and five other guys. One was new, 4 were alumni. Like what was that event all about? I just described Keys to the Matrix and Philosopher's Stone. How would you describe Abracadabra event?
I guess to piggyback off of what Fernando kind of said during the debrief about the woman coming, and she was very drunk, and people in the restaurant would it was making it tense until she sat down at the table, and Arash kind of really calmed her down. But as he was speaking, although he wasn't directly talking to her, it was all, well, maybe he was directly talking to her, but he was talking to us.
Yes.
Also, he was teaching us. And you would see different moments in her eyes, like they would get really big. And it was like, to take that woman, before she sat down at the table, she was like really lost and really sad and just kind of upset, like pretty desperate seeming. And
Yeah.
as Arash was speaking, she would have these moments where you'd see she'd start to glow. And by the end of it, I mean, she was like in tears because she felt so, it's like Arash kind of lifted her up, not in a like you're such a good person kind of way, but internally he had changed everything about how she felt before she arrived at the table. And to see that,
Yeah.
it's really what I want to do with people.
Yeah.
And it has to come from such a powerful position. Well, Rosh holds I've never seen a more powerful person in real life like that.
Yeah, because I'm in a power, in a sense, to be able to change somebody how they feel about themselves. And I've seen it. It actually happened to me twice today. I did it a little bit, not thinking about it, but through 5 to 10 sentence exchanges, because of the way that I acknowledge and just eye contact, like the energy, the presence of my communication. I saw people shift in a way that was out of the ordinary. And if I stayed longer or returned, which I plan to, it's really fun exploration. It's really changed my exploration of interactions with people. I even saw one where I fucked up and went the wrong way. And I went on autopilot. I had an autopilot response, and afterwards I felt so bad. And I was like, and so it was great, carrying that awareness. It's exactly like you said. He spoke, he abracadabraed her. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Really cool. Okay, so we'll wrap it up. DC is saying, can I get the other messengers also? Many of them you can back purchase. Let's say you sign up, you get put down $5,000 to come to the extension version. And then there are previous, like let's say Keys to the Matrix or Abracadabra or Philosopher's Stone. Any of those you can purchase backwards for $1,000 after you've already put the 5K down. And so that's what that is. And I think that's all we got going on here. So any closing statements, Sussi, for audience members? This also goes on the Behavior Code YouTube channel, and there's a Behavior Code iTunes channel. And so even people in the future may be hearing this. What would you say?
Well, Chris, I just want to say that even in our conversation tonight, that the way you're communicating, you helped me calibrate within myself. And so thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
For sure. You're welcome. It's my honor. And it's, it comes from my training. I did not, obviously, this is not me, I would say. It's my teacher and the lineage and the teachings. I am a messenger for the lineage. A messenger. Wow. That's a great ending. Okay, guys, you see all the links in the description below, and we'll catch you every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific. Namaste.
Namaste, Chris. Thank you.